All righty. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Let me get the screen shared. Hope everyone had a good week, had a good Thanksgiving. We got a lot to cover today. I know I say that every class, but let's get started. Make sure my computer is plugged in. All righty. Okay, welcome back to Fueled and Funded, guys. And let me get my chat pulled up as well, just in case. Alrighty. So tonight is class number 8, and tonight we're going to be talking about strengthening your sponsorships with social media. So in this lesson, you'll learn how to create impactful, sponsor-focused content that builds your personal brand, engages your audience, and delivers measurable value to your partners. By mastering these strategies, you'll position yourself, words are hard. You will position yourself as a professional brand ambassador who knows how to go beyond the track and drive real results for your sponsors. So tonight I'm going to go through this as quickly as I can, but we'll talk about how to align your personal brand with sponsor goals and create content that supports them online, in person, and even at retail locations. Best practices for posting consistently and tailoring your content to fit the unique strengths of each social media platform. Tips for creating standout content, from storytelling with purpose to showcasing real-life applications of sponsored products. Effective strategies for engaging your audience, building loyalty, and scaling your platform for greater visibility and influence. And at the end, we'll cover common pitfalls to avoid, including content mistakes, sponsorship missteps, and how to stay authentic while maintaining professionalism. So let's kick off with why content matters for sponsors. As we've been talking about, sponsorship is no longer just about putting logos on race cars and uniforms. Today, it's about building partnerships that create measurable value for both you and sponsors. Social media has become the most powerful tool for activating sponsorships, offering a platform to connect directly with your audience and showcase the brands that you represent. So there has been a shift in sponsorship expectations with social media out. So, like I said, sponsors are no longer focused on where you can put a logo or even your performance on the track. Instead, they are investing in racers who can extend their brand's reach, create authentic, relatable content, and engage with audiences beyond race weekends. Racers are now competing not just with other racers, but also other athletes and influencers and creators who have mastered the art of storytelling and personal branding. The ultimate goal of most sponsorships is to sell products or services, right? And the best way to do that is to have ambassadors that live the brand authentically. For example, in a discussion in one of our past sponsorship summit events, which I want to give a quick plug in, our next one is going to be in January on the 11th and 12th. It is a 2-day event. If you're going to the session that Alex Streiler and I are doing on Friday at PRI, you will hear all about it. But instead of doing multiple sponsorship summits during the year, I think we did 4 this year and said we're only going to be doing one, and it's going to be a really big event. So that's why it's 2 days. So make sure you are on the lookout for that. We will be doing a special with a PRI discount. So make sure you come to our session. So anyways, in one of our previous sponsorship summits, we had Ben Dolan, who is the VP at VP Racing Fuels. And in one of the discussions, he emphasized the importance of racers authentically integrating sponsor products into their daily lives and sharing about that on social media. So he said for racers to use your hobbies, the off season, and time spent away from racing to collect content and live the brand of your sponsors. So, for instance, if you enjoy camping, you could show how you're out camping and how usually you have a generator, so maybe you use the VP small engine fuel in your generator, so you can make a post about that showing how you are using their product in a genuine relatable context without it being too salesy. And so this approach aligns with the trend of brands partnering with influencers, right? People who post normal everyday stuff, but they have a strong personal brand and personality, and it allows for more organic and authentic content creation. Ben also noted that VP evaluates the extended reach of their sponsored individuals. So, considering not only the direct audience of that sponsored content, but also how it resonates with broader sponsored, broader target markets. So at VP, they track the reach and views of branded posts from sponsored individuals, recognizing that such content can be distributed to other audiences that align with their target market. And so if you want to learn more about what Ben says, the entire session from his is on YouTube. Alex Streiler has all the recordings on his YouTube channel, so you can watch it there. Or if you catch these slides after they are uploaded, which actually they are already uploaded to your members portal, you can go and watch that video on YouTube and learn more about what Ben says. Also, watch all of the segmented replays from our past sponsorship summits. And Justin in the chat box says, is the PRI session you and Alex are speaking in called Sponsorship 101, Why Brand Sponsors and What They Want? Yes, that is our session. So Alex is going to be doing half of that session about decks and proposals. I'll be doing the second session about social media. So why content is crucial for small platforms. So even if you have a small social media following, do not let that stop you. So you can still provide value by highlighting your sponsors authentically, sharing impactful stories that resonate with your audience, and using the platform strategically to amplify your reach. Your success in securing and keeping sponsors is directly tied to your ability to create meaningful and engaging content. By leveraging your authenticity, your personal story, and your creativity, you can deliver value that goes far beyond the racetrack. So now that you understand why content creation is crucial for activating sponsorships, let's dive deeper into how to build a strategy that aligns with your personal brand with your sponsor's goals. So this section will focus on creating content that goes beyond racing to support your sponsors authentically, both online and offline, while connecting with your audience in a meaningful way. So to start, let's think beyond racing. Sponsorship content is most effective when it doesn't stop at the racetrack. To truly stand out, your strategy should showcase how you can support sponsors in your everyday life. So use your social media to tell compelling stories about their products and services and how they play a role in your everyday life as a normal human being. And by highlighting activations and where to buy. So you can demonstrate their products availability by visiting retailers or sharing how you personally buy or where you buy their products at to use in practical and relatable scenarios. Also, showcase your role as a storyteller. So share your human side. This builds trust and relatability. Don't make it all about your race car. and share personal moments and hobbies and behind the scenes content that lets people connect with you as a person and not just as a race car driver. This well rounded approach reinforces your value as a partner who can extend the brand's reach far beyond just at the racetrack. Now, let's move on to living the brand. So, your sponsors want to see their products and values authentically integrated into your lifestyle. And Vaughn, who was also a guest speaker on one of the sponsorship summits, he joined us and he said, authenticity and credibility are key. Represent with your true passion and heart. If not, it is noticeable. So, you want your social media to reflect your passion. Share what drives you both on and off the track. This might include hobbies, family time, or challenges you face in your daily routine. When your lifestyle aligns with the sponsor's mission, your content becomes more impactful. And like I've been saying, show your human side. People want to connect with the racer that's behind the wheel, not just hear about your results. So post the highs and lows of racing, like if you got to fix your car late at night, or if you blew a tire on the road to a race, or celebrating with your team after you won the race. Also, share stories that make your journey relatable, even to those who aren't your hardcore motorsports fans. Okay, moving on to authenticity over perfection. The days of overly polished content dominating social media is gone. Since 2020, the focus has shifted to more authentic, relatable posts. So you want real, not overly curated. So avoid trying to create that perfectly polished grid that we saw back in 2018. Instead, focus on strong storytelling and genuine moments. You do still need to have good lighting and clean visuals and a good mic when you are doing your content, though. And you need to make sure that you tailor your content to the specific platform that you are posting on. And different platforms require unique approaches. So if you're going on TikTok, that's more raw, unpolished, unedited, trend focused, and informational content. Whereas on Instagram, it's more visually compelling with a mix between that unpolished and highly edited. Facebook is, again, more personal, relatable, but less trend focused because it is more of an older demographic. And then YouTube is where you have those very polished storytelling videos, the long form content that is highly edited, and it's also educational and or entertaining. And last but not least, connecting with your audience. This is the bridge between you and your sponsors. And that's, the very first thing we talked about in Fueled and Funded is your audience. So you want to make sure that you are continuing to build a loyal fan base. And this is just as important as it is to win your races. So why does sharing your story matter? People want to feel a part of your journey. So they want those candid moments that show the joy of overcoming challenges, the excitement of meeting a sponsor milestone, the raw honesty of a tough race weekend. And we all have that, right? You also need to engage consistently. So respond to comments and messages to foster a sense of community. You can still even respond to them days or weeks later if you're still getting comments coming in on one of your posts. So don't think that a post is too old. If someone leaves a comment, always, always, always respond back to them as fast as you can. And make your followers feel valued and included by involving them in a conversation on social media. So social media is not just about posting random pictures and videos that you have on your gallery. It's about creating consistent, impactful, and visually appealing content that delivers value for your brand and both your audience and your sponsors. So in this next section, we will explore best practices for posting guidelines to leverage and amplify your sponsorship success. So first up is to establish a regular posting cadence. So consistency is the backbone of a successful social media strategy, and maintaining a predictable posting schedule helps you stay visible to your audience and keeps your sponsors top of mind. So aim to post at least twice a week. This frequency keeps your audience engaged without overwhelming them, and it should be an easy plan to stick to for everybody. And the way how you do that is to create a content calendar. So you want to organize your posts into clear categories that balance your storytelling with your obligations that you have to your sponsors. And so here are my go-to categories. First up, of course, your sponsor promo. So highlighting products or services that your sponsors are wanting you to share about, but make sure you're doing it authentically and showing how they fit into your real life, your everyday life, and your racing journey. Educational content is where you're sharing tips, behind the scenes processes, or insights about your racing. So this is content that should be shareable to get more eyeballs on your post. So think of any questions that you get asked when you're doing a display or when a fan comes up to you in the pits. This is content that you can answer over and over and over again on your social media. So whatever is a frequently asked question, make a video about it. Think of this content as it's going to someone who has never heard of you before, or they've never seen you race before. So it can be the very basic questions that you get in person. Personal updates. So like I just talked about, showing the human side of your life, such as family moments, hobbies, and major milestones. You don't have to share about every, if it's your best friend's birthday, like you don't have to share all that stuff, unless your best friend is someone that's on your team or races with you. Have a limit of what you want to keep on your personal page versus what you want to post on your racing page. But like for us in the States, we just had Thanksgiving. And so I did, some family photos, just a quick caption like happy Thanksgiving from my family to yours. And it's one of the best posts that we had, if not the best post I've had this month so far. So always share, those family moments that you have, but don't overdo it. Next is the trending and entertaining posts. And I just want to add really quick, when I said don't overdo it, I mean, don't make this your racing page turn into your personal diary where it's like every post is a personal update, right? Just do the major highlights and milestones. Okay, moving on to trending or entertaining posts. So this is where you get to participate in fun trends that are relatable to you, or where you can share humor to make your content more engaging. And again, you want this content to be shareable and get seen by more people. So that means something like, I think it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, when I shared about like having that viral video, and I am literally still getting notifications of people leaving comments on this video. But that's something that was, just something trending. But people keep sharing it to other people. So think of content like that. Like what's something that's like very relatable to you, or something that's very entertaining that makes you want to share that with one of your friends and be like, yeah, that's me, or like, yeah, this is us. Next content category is pre-race hype. So this was pretty easy. Build anticipation by sharing your mindset, behind the scenes preparation, the grind, the hustle, your goals for upcoming races, or any new projects that you are working on. Make sure to tag the sponsor that is relevant to highlight their role in how you are getting race ready. And of course, the follow up with that is your post race recap. So reflect on your performance, whether it's celebrating a win or learning from challenges. Most racers skip this one, and it definitely hurts their ability to grow and connect with their fans. Last but not least, we have the thrill reel. This is showing those action-packed, high clip or high energy clips of your races any near misses or overtakes or dramatic moments that happen to you on the track. This is usually where you have a GoPro that faces you. Maybe you have a second GoPro or like a Insta360 camera somewhere where you can see maybe the outside of the vehicle. So you want to make sure that you keep the viewers on edge. You give them that first person point of view style, so that way it gets the viewers adrenaline pumping and gives them a chance to feel like they are the one in the driver's seat. So use these 7 categories twice a month. That's all you got to do. It'll be super easy to create 1 month of content in no time. That's only 14 posts per month. And I want you to leave a yes or no in the chat box. Does that seem doable to you for December? Walter says yes. Dina, yes. Josh, yep. Justin says yes, this is a cheat sheet. Yes, so screenshot this. Of course, you guys get the slides. So also this will be included in your homework assignment. So 7 categories, 2 posts per category each month, 14 posts, easy. That's all you got to do to post twice a week. Okay, Cody says kind of. All right, so last but not least is to post natively on each platform. So please at all times avoid cross-posting the same content across platforms. The algorithms penalize this practice, and each platform has their own unique preferences for style, length, audio, all that type of stuff. So although it is so easy to cross-post between Instagram and Facebook, I understand it's very easy to do. Don't fall into that trap. So there is a website you can go to, snapinsta.app. If you make a video on Instagram Reels, you can go to this website, download it. It will remove watermarks and it will include audio. So that way you can take that exact video and then post it onto Facebook. Even if you're doing it one right after the other, that's still better than doing the cross-posting between platforms. So always post natively, which means if you have a video, you are just literally going onto your Facebook app and posting it onto Facebook each time. Also, you got to update your captions, right? When you're doing tags, especially for a sponsor's page, you got to make sure you get those tags correct on each platform. If you're doing it on Instagram, cross-posting it to Facebook, it will tag their Instagram page and not their Facebook page, if you know they even have one. Alrighty, moving on. Avoid overloading your tags. So you want to make sure that your sponsors receive the attention they deserve without diluting your impact. So avoid doing too many sponsor tags. Only tag the primary sponsor that's relevant to the piece of content. This approach highlights their contribution and maximizes their exposure without overshadowing their presence. If you want a really good example, go check out Vaughn's Instagram. He does an amazing job of only including one sponsor, which actually, never mind, I do have a screenshot. Oh, it did it again. Sorry, guys, I've got to refresh. I hate when it does this. I'm not sure why. Okay, I got ahead of myself. I do have a screenshot of Vaughn's social media to show you. Okay, present. All right. Sorry for the pause. Let's. Oops. Okay, now I went too far. There we go. Okay. Let me pull up my chat box again. Sorry, guys. Okay. So, like I was saying, tagging multiple sponsors in a single post can confuse your audience, but most importantly, your sponsors won't feel like a priority in your content. So if you tag multiple sponsors in the same post, it can make their involvement seem less exclusive. And you want to save, you want to do like individual shout outs for separate posts to give each sponsor the spotlight they deserve. Instead of doing over tagging, it will also make your content look too promotional, which leads to lower engagement. And then that hurts you with the algorithm too, right? Because you're telling the algorithm that it's less relevant. So sponsors do want that personalized attention. And so here's my screenshot of Vaughn. So this is a video of him from Sietsma show. And as you can see, he only tags Nitto in his hashtag. So he has 2 hashtags right there for the sponsor. Obviously, you can see all the other logos on his truck here, but he doesn't tag them. So he does 1 sponsor tag per post. That also lets you do more content instead of trying to do all of your sponsors in the same post. So if you want some more examples, go check out his Instagram. He is great at that. Okay, making your content stand out. So we've done the foundation. We've talked about best practices for posting. Now it's time to elevate that content. So sponsors are looking for consistent posting, right? But they also want that creative and impactful content that delivers value across multiple channels. So this section, we're going to focus on creating content that stands out and drives results. So to truly stand out, you do need to focus on content that is shareable. And this means it can be shared on different platforms by different sponsors. So like that video Vaughn did, even though he tagged, his hashtag Nitto Tires, he could send that same video to his other sponsors. So was like Monster Energy. I know he's got NGK Spark Plugs. They can have that same video, and because their logo is visible, they can still share that post. So for a key tip here, you do want to make sure that you include a clear call to action that does align with the sponsor's goals. So when you are posting it, make sure that you understand what your sponsor needs from that post. Again, share real life applications. I'm like, don't know how many times I've said this, but it's something that I hear again and again from companies of what they are wanting from racers. So that's why I'm sharing it with you. So use authentic everyday scenarios to showcase your sponsor's products in action. This builds a relatable connection between you, the brand, and most importantly, their potential customers. So you do want to show how highlight how the product solves a problem or enhances your lifestyle, not just your race car. And you do want to have content that can be repurposed. So think beyond a single post. Can your content be edited into posts for other platforms? So could you do a reel for YouTube Shorts? Could you turn it into a carousel for Instagram? Or could you even make it into a written blog post that you share on either your own website, or if you have a media that you could send it to that would post on their website? So repurposing and recycling content maximizes the value of each piece of content while appealing to diverse audiences on different platforms. Also, you can 100% repurpose or repost your content that you've already shared. So if you have had a post that did really well in the past, whether that was a year ago, 6 months ago, 90 days ago, especially as, some of us are moving into the off season, you can definitely repost it because chances are most of your audience did not see it. All right, let's move on to case studies. So demonstrating the impact of your content is a powerful way to prove your value to sponsors. And so you want to use data and examples to highlight how your posts have driven engagement and results. So you want to track your shares or track and share your metrics. So for each piece of sponsored content, track the key performance indicators, which are usually the likes, comments, and shares, reach and impressions, and then any clicks or conversions, especially if you're doing like an affiliate link or a discount code. And then you want to present that to your sponsors and show the ROI. So, and this is also something that you can use in your deck. So once you do have a couple of case studies, you can put them in your deck to show how your content can contribute to the sponsor's goals. And then also a visual representation of your case study. You want to have it to where it not only summarizes your results, but also shows that actual post in it, right? So don't just send an email, go onto Canva, make a very short presentation, or even if it's just like a one-page document, you can do that and share what you did for that sponsor with social media. This will not only, help your communication with that sponsor, but it also helps you stand out because most racers aren't doing this. They do a post and then they completely forget about it. They don't track it. They don't see how well it did, and they don't share that data with their sponsors. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. I've just got a couple more slides here to go through. So the next step is to ensure that your efforts don't fall flat, right? So engagement is the lifeblood of social media success, and sponsors value partnerships with racers who can foster genuine, loyal communities. In this section, we'll explore strategies to connect with your audience on a deeper level and build lasting loyalty that keeps both fans and sponsors coming back. So first up is building your audience value. Your audience is more than just a number. It's a community that can amplify your message, support your sponsors, and grows your influence. So to cultivate that loyalty, focus on creating meaningful connections and engaging authentically. So always, always, always respond to your comments and messages. Engagement is a two-way street on social media. Make your audience feel valued by acknowledging their comments and questions. Also, humanize your content. Like I've been saying, let your personality shine through, share behind the scenes moments, share real life moments more than just your race car, right? You are a person, you have passions, you have challenges, you have friends, family. Talk about it. These posts make you more relatable and builds that deeper connection with your audience. Also, encourage users to take action and interact with your content. So do polls, do Q&A sessions, do caption this photo challenges. Those are so easy. If you have a photo and you're like, I don't know what to caption this, ask your fans. They'll come up with something. Also, like I've been saying, share your own stories and photos that relate to your sponsors' content to amplify their message. Okay, last but not least, pitfalls to avoid. Even the most well-intentioned racers can fall into traps that hurt their relationships with sponsors, diminish audience engagement, or harm their brand image. So we're going to quickly talk about the common mistakes to avoid and some insights to keep your strategy on track. First up, content mistakes is neglecting social media after a bad race. Staying silent after a poor performance is a missed opportunity to connect with your audience. Be honest about your setbacks and show authenticity to build trust. So instead of skipping updates, say, hey, we didn't get the results we wanted, but this is what we learned from it. This is where we're going to improve for our next race. Also throw in, hey, thanks for this product for helping us get through the race. Also, you want to be transparent and encourage engagement with them. Like we talked about, over polished content. So while quality is important, if you're over editing it or trying to make it just absolutely perfect, it can feel inauthentic. So today's audiences value relatability over having that just perfect photo. and posting anything that's controversial or brand damaging. Unfortunately, racers fall into this trap, especially when they share anything that's political. There are some companies out there that have zero tolerance when it comes to politics. I know NGK Spark Plugs is one of them. They will not sponsor you if they see anything political on your pages. So stay away from that. Stay away from inappropriate jokes or comments or anything negative, because companies will find it, right? They do their research, they do background checks, they will find it. So don't post it. It's not worth it. Oh, also, one thing I forgot to add is you want to you want to make sure that you understand the company values. So I know of a couple companies that sponsor some of my friends that are very Christian, that they're very family friendly. And so they don't want anything inappropriate on their sponsored racers and ambassadors pages, because that reflects the brand in the company too, right? So sponsorship oversights. So if you're failing to meet minimum posting requirements. So with some of your proposals and contracts that you'll go through with sponsors, they might have expectations and have a specific number of posts that you need to do. If you fall short of this, you will damage their trust and jeopardize future partnerships. So make sure that you have reminders in your calendar of when and how many times you need to post their content. And you want to, at least meet their expectations, but you always want to exceed it, right? Anything like any time that you are neglecting to go above and beyond. Sponsors do value initiative, so don't wait for them to ask you. So proactively offer ideas and additional content or activations. So for example, ask them, hey, do you have a specific campaign that's coming up? Or do you have an offer? Maybe they did a Black Friday offer. You could reach out to them and ask them, hey, how can I highlight this and help you promote it? Going that extra mile shows that you are a dedicated partner and helps you move up on that ladder, right? And mismanaging multiple sponsors. So like we said, don't tag all of your sponsors on every single post. Treat your sponsors professionally and recognize that their obligations may differ. So you might have a title sponsor that needs more recognition than associate sponsors. Okay, so if you do have one that is a primary partner, make sure that they do get more frequent and focused content than those secondary or associate sponsors that you have. Utilize paid ad campaigns. This is something that racers miss. You can collaborate with companies to create specific social media ad campaigns by tapping into their advertising budget. So instead of just asking them for sponsorship funding, you can word it as, hey, we're going to do an advertisement for you, make a video or a piece of content, and it could be something that you post on their page. Maybe they only want to post it on your page, but they can pull from a different bucket of their funding if you're just wording it as an advertisement versus as a sponsorship. And tailor your messages to the platforms. Avoid that one-size-fits-all approach to content. Each platform has different audiences, right? My Facebook page audience is completely different than my Instagram page content. So I avoid posting the exact same thing on each platform. And last but not least, you want to leverage your tools. Everyone has a smartphone, right? Everyone has a camera and a microphone built in right here. So use them. You don't need to buy high-end equipment. You don't need to buy fancy cameras. Just use your smartphone and download an app to edit your content. I use Video Leap, or I use like the captions app if I'm not editing directly inside of Instagram. And that's all you need, right? You don't have to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on equipment. So I do want to welcome our guest speaker, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So you might have noticed that we have a new face here on with us, and I want to welcome Erica. And you can share your screen now. So Erica
Perfect.
is the founder of Autofluencer, which I have briefly mentioned and sprinkled in here and there, but very excited to let you guys hear it straight from the source. And this is a platform that I'm very excited about. So I wanted her to come on and share it with you guys as well.
Great, thanks. And I'll share my screen in just a second. Just thank you for the intro, Megan. Megan and I met actually at PRI last year, and Autofluencer was kind of a idea with like kind of some slideware, like we had a prototype, but it didn't really work. But we had a big vision. And yeah, Greg, that's why. I was sitting here like listening and sending invites to our platform. So if you were multitasking, Greg, busted, you might have seen an email. I came out of the world of new car automotive. So my old company was a software company, and we actually helped car dealerships connect with consumers on social media. Go figure. And I don't know how much time you've spent in car dealerships, but they're pretty boring, right? Like they're not the most passionate, and nobody really leaves a car dealership being like, oh my God, I can't wait to get on social media and talk about how awesome that was. It was like the best experience of my life. Like if anything, it's always the opposite. And so my old company, we spent a lot of time having to clean that up for them. And I was just super burnt out. And my husband actually used to work for Motor Trend for years. And he was like, babe, I'm telling you, you love automotive. You need to look into the aftermarket. And he started introducing me to brands that were like, oh, we need help with sponsorships, or we need help with like we can't do everything, and I'm just one person. And I think that's something too, as Megan's talking, while some of these brands are huge, and NGK, they have a proper team of humans. A lot of the brands though are just like you. It is a person trying to do sales and marketing and events and activations and sponsorships, and they're overwhelmed. And so, as we started talking not this past summer, the summer before, to the brands, started to see like, they could use technology. Like this would be really helpful. Like there are tools out there. You might have seen some that are influencer management platforms or creator management platforms, but either A, they were really expensive because, if they're doing anything in automotive, it's like, we want to work with Ford. Or we would have, oh, we're in sports. We do F1. Like whenever I bring up like we do motorsports, people are like, is it like F1? I'm like, oh my God, oh no. It's like real racers that are like working their asses off, just trying to like make it there to the weekend. Working on their own cars and doing all the things themselves and building all of it. Yeah. And so, it's a lot. And then so started to build out kind of that prototype, but it was really when I started to meet you all. It was when I started to meet the Megans of the world, the content creators in this space, whether they're builders or they were drivers. And that's when I took kind of something that was an idea and like the brand side was interesting. And then I fell in love. I fell in love with the not in love with the problems you guys have, but the challenges you face in a way of like technology can help this. Like we can streamline this. And those tools that were out there that were definitely not designed for our industry, they're very expensive, right? And they weren't designed to help both the brand and the creator. In fact, one of the tools that one automotive company I know of uses, the guy actually told me that he thought it was a conflict of interest to help both the brand and the creator. So if you're a creator that has to connect to that platform and authenticate your social, they will not show you your own data, which is just crazy because you're like, wait. I just gave you access to all my secret Instagram data, and you're not even going to show me what the brand is seeing. And it was kind of learning some of that, and that made us put everything into it. Myself personally, and Megan knows this, I literally put everything into this business and building this platform for you all. And We are some of you, I want to shout out. Randy has created a login already. She's not on the call, but Nicole from Hecker Racing, she's created a login. And all of you that if you had socials already attached, I invited you. If I had your email, I invited you to claim your profile. And I'm gonna show you that here. We are early stage, so we are in what's called beta. So some pros and cons of beta stage. There might be quirks. Randy, I think it was you, is trying to log in earlier. Someone was trying to log in earlier. Like, I can't get in. I'm like, oh yeah, we ran an update. It went down. But for the most part, luckily, you know, we're not creating like respirator systems because that would be a bummer if those went down. But luckily it is, you know, you can get in, you can pull your reporting, a lot of the things that Megan said, and I'll show you here. That reporting and someone was saying it's overwhelming. Yeah, heck yeah, it is. Like even though you have access to the data, you got to download it from all these different places and try to give these stats to these brands, and they all want something a little bit different. And so we want to make that process really easy. So I will share my screen and I'll walk you through just a couple of the different ways we're doing that, where we're at and where we're going. The other thing I think that is really different about us, while you might deal with some quirky little bugs or some weird little things, again, as some of you already know, um, let's see, we're sharing my screen. I just want to make sure, not going to minimize. Hold on, let me move you guys. Let me move you. Boop. Hold on, I'm going to minimize my little people screen. So I can't see your facial expressions. So if you're making facial expressions, I can't see them anymore. Here you can see, so when you log in, the first thing it's going to ask you to do is to authenticate your social. There's a few different benefits to this. So being able, and this is for just Facebook and Instagram right now. The Facebook data is not pulling as well. The Instagram is done. Facebook will be done in a few weeks. But if you've ever had to do this before, it is kind of a pain. It is not our fault. It is a Meta parent company of Facebook and Instagram thing where kind of yadas, but so your Instagram, if you want to think, and this is not just our platform, if you get in any big brand partnerships, and let's say they're using a different tool, and they ask you to do this, you would need these same things. So we always encourage do it on our platform because we'll help you. Like those other tools won't help you, and anything of a brand like being kind of annoyed. Um, we can help you do it and help you figure it out. And then that way, if you have to go into a different one, you're like, I'm a pro, shoot. And so first thing is, which all of you do because you're working with Megan, but you all do have creator accounts for your business account. If you haven't created your Instagram yet, it has to be a business or a creator account. But Facebook must be a business page. And this is a weird quirk of how the integration with Instagram works. And then you have to connect that Instagram to that Facebook business page. And then, and then once you do that, then you can hit continue and it's going to go in and it'll try to connect your account. If you have already done this, this might pop up again. If you could let me know, like maybe Randy or some of you that are already in it, if you already authenticate and this pops up, let me know. If you have any issues, let me know. You can chat me here. It'll ask you to just put your name in. And then a cool and creepy thing is every time you log in, I get a little alert on my phone that tells me you've logged in. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And so, but you can also message me there and then I'll see it was you. And so if I don't get back right away, I can message you. Some of you DM me. That's cool too. Text is cool too. We want to know what's working, what's not working, and how to fix it. Once you authenticate, I'm using this profile. This is my friend Matt here. And you can see you have this thing called a dynamic creator profile, and he has authenticated. So here's some of the benefits of that authentication. So one kind of cool thing is this data here for his Instagram, and soon it'll be his Facebook as well, will update daily. So from a standpoint of when you're working on a media kit or a deck or a hero card because you're going to an event, or you want to pass things out to sponsors, that's just quick, that's not a formal proposal. Our creator profiles are great because your stats are always up to date. They're going to be more up to date than you could manually have to keep updating any printed brochure. So a cool thing you can do is you can actually generate a QR code and then download this and add this to any of your materials. So even if you had a nice, beautiful, like really cool media kit that you really liked, I know some people do books. I've seen that's usually when they have a really big portfolio. But the last thing you want to do is have to continue to reprint something that can be expensive. And sometimes they have minimum quantities, right? You might have to do 100, to get it for cheaper. So by putting this QR code on there, you can say, scan here for my most up-to-date stats. And that will bring them to this page and they can see that. This is a work in progress, but this is kind of those deeper statistics since Matt has authenticated. We are going to break this out for other countries. I noticed someone had a Canadian email address. We have some people not in the US. And so this is going to have up to like your top 10 countries. Partially, the biggest thing people want to see is unless you are actually from the Philippines, they don't want to see someone that has a 40%, 50%, you know, Philippines, Indonesian follower rate because those tend to be bot likes or follows, right? That's what they're looking for, the countries. But I have noticed we have quite a few Canadian and some Brazilian and Mexican followers that obviously they're going to, big for their home country. But the international followers, if you are in a country outside of the US, we see a much more diverse following. And so we want to represent that fairly. And we don't want it to be some like crazy other. So we're updating some of that, but you can see kind of overall um, reach, impressions, followers by age, demographics. Some of this you might be familiar with. But this is something that without having to see your media kit, they can see that and be up to date. You don't have to worry about updating that. Um, the other thing you would see with, oh, sorry, let me finish the profile real quick. If you are going to be using it, you should go in and update it. You won't, when you go to do it for referral, go ahead and put in Megan Meyer, and then put it in about. Highlighted content, Matt hasn't put one of these in, and partially because I think he created his profile before this was a thing. I can show you an example. So what this would be for, this is a great opportunity for you to attach. I've seen some really neat use cases here. So if you go in to edit your profile, you can basically go in, you can fill out anything. In some cases, we might have put in some things here for I'm a Ann or your market, selecting that. Megan mentioned if you are in other categories, we do have some other categories where we may have some brand partners or we may have some agency partners we're working with. So if there are other categories you're in, feel free. Like if you do a lot in power sports, even if you're not racing in power sports, but I've got a razor or I've got a dirt bike or this, or hey, I hunt or I fish, hit up that hunting and fishing or outdoor recreation. You can add as many of these categories as you want. Same thing here for I'm a Ann. Matt's got a fairly robust profile here, so you can see that here. For location, I always encourage you, these are all searchable fields, and they're also searchable by keyword searches. So for states and stuff, I encourage people to just write it out, city, state. Eventually, we'll have a smarter version of that, so people can be like, anybody near the Northeast, but we're not there yet. Any of your specialties, there's a lot here. I encourage you to go through this. And again, if there's something that's not in here, just send a chat and put like, yo, I'd love for you to add this or that. Like we didn't used to have buff. And then we got someone who they have a whole channel on buffing vehicles. Like that's their specialty. So we added buff in there. So buffing is a thing. Um, Add your brands and then you can, models are a little bit different. It was getting really quirky to try to have to do how people wanted to write models. We'll eventually have an area where you can just type in all your cars, like year, make, model. We usually encourage people to just type in the vehicle and hit, whatever your model is. So, we had this one the other day. It was a Coyote swapped, uh, Mustang. And you just type it in, hit enter. And then any brands that you have worked with, this doesn't have to be a paid sponsorship. This could be anybody that sponsored you. You can put that in here. If you have a website or even a link tree, you can put that in here. And then active build for drivers, I always say put yes, because you are always building and tweaking that vehicle. Put that One other note on brands, put your daily driver here as well. That's something I think Megan lightly touched on it. You know, when you think about the brands, they care about your race vehicles, but your daily driver is an important one as well, because usually they have products that serve that daily driver that can, go across. So putting in your daily drivers, and then, writing a good about, you can add just bullets and formatting here. And then here's that highlighted content. So what's cool here is you can add a link, and it could be, she mentioned a case study, right? So maybe this is my top performing brand post, and then you could put a link to that post. Maybe it's on YouTube or it's on Facebook or it's on Instagram, or maybe you do a little video about your top performing campaign and you do a little video case study, or maybe do a private YouTube video or Vimeo or, some kind of private video that's, how I partner with brands, or it could be why I'm unique, why I'm different than your average driver. I probably did it in proper camel casing there. We'll do that. Then your average driver, and you could put a link there to maybe this private video that you wouldn't necessarily want on your socials so that your community, your audience sees it, but this could be something really tailored to a brand, right? And keep it tight, keep it snappy, but something around how you're different, what value you bring to the table, how you're unique. Maybe you have a trailer that you're willing to wrap for them. That's something that's a little bit different because, maybe it's a brand that doesn't have huge budgets, so they're not going out to all these different events and having activations there live. You love this brand and you're like, yo, I could be your mobile activation. I've traveled with this big van or a trailer, and I'd be happy to wrap it for you all. Right. So these are kind of just some fun things you can do to personalize and add some flavor to the platform, to your creator profile, because brands can both see it either from getting to it from you, or they have a search. And I'll show you what a brand sees. They have a search where they might come across your platform, or if you go to apply. So again, I highly recommend filling out your profile, kind of thing one, authenticate your socials, fill out your profile. Right now, again, like I said, Instagram is the one where we have the full data once you authenticate. YouTube and TikTok, we use a third-party data puller. It doesn't pull as often. So if you ever were like right before PRI, for example, I would always just come in here and hit this real quick and it'll refresh. Oops, he went backwards. That's the bummer. You never know with TikTok. But so you can hit refresh really quick and update. So it is the most recent. And then again, that's your profile. And then when you come in here, you can see any campaigns that you're either already attached to. So if a brand has a campaign and they are working with you and they're using AutoFluencer, again, we're smaller. So we've got about like 25 brands right now using our platform, somewhere in between a paid subscription and then like a free trial. But you may log in. We've had a few people be like, oh, I logged in. There's already data. That's cool. You might see that, or you can go in and you can create your own campaigns. Wait, I'll show you just real quick. Ooh, this is a brand campaign that Matt happens to be attached to. And so this is all of his content. So remember I said you can see your own data. This is all of his content. So he sees exactly what the brand is seeing, right? He sees the same data that they can see. He sees the detail of the campaign. So this one was created by the brand. This Hotshot Secret is one of the brands using our platform. And so he can see everything that they've put in here. Some of this is changing, and I'll show you some open brand campaigns that you could get in and apply to once you kind of build out your profile. One note, we just added literally this week, like Monday, which is why it's been a little quirky this week, all of these new fields. So we added this new compensation field, which we didn't used to have. They would just put it in the description. We added these new fields on whether or not they require content approval. So some of them that you will see that have already been created if you go into apply might look weird, like, yo, there's no compensation, or like they say they own the copyright. We're working with our brands to get all that updated because it's literally just went live. So just know they might be a little wonky right now, some of the deliverables. May not be fully blown out, but you can at least start to put some information in. If they did a contract with you, you'd be able to see that contract here. Um, Again, when you go to apply, they might ask questions. This is where you would see that your answers to those questions, you could edit them, you could withdraw, you could submit them. And then your reporting. So while this is the stats, you actually can see a more robust reporting here. Sometimes acts a little funny in screen, and you can click on this to see the full version. So, and then the history, and then any conversation back and forth with that brand if it was theirs. So that's kind of a cool thing if a brand were to add you. But if we go back to the home screen, you can see there's these open campaigns, and then you can actually see all of them either by clicking here, or they're also over here under campaigns. You can go to browse campaigns, and these are actually real open 2025 campaigns. We'll go in and look at driven racing oil. And again, these are brand new, but they actually got in with compensation. So theirs is like a buy one, get one free model. I had a girlfriend who's a bit of a larger creator. She's a drag racer as well. She'd actually applied before that got updated. And then she was like, oh, never mind. So everybody's a little bit different, but when you're starting out, I mean, Megan can certainly attest. A lot of it is either discounts or, in this case, it's a buy one, get one free situation. But over time, that gives you a chance to build up your portfolio of content, of case studies, and of putting in that in your profile, people I've worked with, right? Brands I've worked with. Driven Racing Oil is a big name brand, or, some of the others, Advanced Clutch, or some of the others that are in here. It may not be some big paid title sponsor quite yet, but as you build up, you'll be able to put all of these almost on your digital resume, right? But a cool thing that is different about our platform versus, a lot of the others that are out there is you can actually go in and add your own campaigns that you want to track. So even if a brand isn't using Autofluencer, you can go in and hit new campaign. And this is going to change, like what I was just showing you for the brands, where they have a compensation and deliverables, and it says like once a month and all that. Yours is going to change to be like that, like in the next few weeks. So by the end of the year, you will actually be able to do that, because early next year, we're actually going to have this where if you create your personal campaigns or a brand adds you, Megan was saying, oh, it's no big deal. It's just like create a content calendar and it's just like 14 posts. You got this. And you're like, man, like it does sound like a lot. We're going to tie up any deliverables, or, she said like, hey, you don't want to fall below, right? If you're supposed to be doing once a month or once after a race or 10 different posts for them in the year or 4 different posts, you don't want to fall behind. And sometimes it's actually the ones that want less posting that can be the hardest to remember, right? Because you're like, oh, shoot, sometime next year, I got to post twice for these dudes and I don't know exactly when. And so what we will be doing is we're going to create a whole reminder system, almost like a project management system. So when you put in the campaign requirements and the deliverables and what do they want you to mention or what do they want you to say, or if the brand has added you to it, it's actually going to remind you of all of those things. You'll get little email alerts and reminders like, hey, this piece of content is due. Just a reminder, you're supposed to do this monthly. You haven't done it. And it'll keep reminding you until it can auto add content. And once it adds content, it'll check it off as like, okay, check, that's done. Phase 1 will be, I'll show you just an example again, kind of phase 1. And these are, Matt's posts. So we do have it right now. And especially if you authenticate, this will get way easier. Where if you mention the brand in the caption, we are able to pull that data in automatically. So you don't have to manually add. This is a challenge. We're fixing this, the way that organizes, but 12/1/2024. So if you add something like he didn't manually add this, we pulled this into our system automatically, right? And you can actually click, it'll link to the video. By like early next year, it'll actually show you both the thumbnail and the caption. And if any brand is attached, they'll be able to see the thumbnail and caption. So This part we're going to be doing automatically for you. The one thing that will be manual is stories because once you authenticate to Instagram, stories are kind of weird. And any text you put on them, even if you at mention the brand, when Facebook, Instagram passes it to us, it's just a flat image. So any text, any tags, it all gets flattened into the image and we don't see it. We can't pull it off or try to read it so that we can automatically attach it. So you'll have an area here called My Posts, and this is where you'll see your stories data. And see here, you can see we're starting to pull in the images and we'll start pulling in the captions. And this is where you'd be able to go in and you would be able to, that one automatically attach. So you'd be able to go in and you'd be able to add to a campaign. We're still working on the stories, pulling those in from Instagram. It's a different process. So we should have those up in like the next few weeks. And we're going to set it up so that once the story's done, it will then come into the platform and then you can assign it and all the stats will be there. And then you can assign it to any brand campaign. So that should be the only one, fingers crossed, that you have to automatically attach. Any of the others, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, should be able to automatically attach on that. And you'll see them all come in here, but then they should attach appropriately to the campaign and go that way. So, and if for some reason it wasn't, you could hit fetch my media and it'll run like a manual update and pull in all that data and hopefully auto assign it to the correct campaign. So that data, whether it's one from a brand or one that you've created. And then there's that cool thing is let's pretend this is personal campaign. In a personal campaign, you can actually go in and you will have a whole section called reporting. And if you click to see full version, can you still see my screen? Can you see this report? Did it load?
Yeah, we can see it.
Perfect. Where it says the creator brand campaign activity, the big report. Is that what it's showing? I can't see it's not showing me what you see. Do you see the report where it's all one window?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I just don't know if I'm sharing a tab or a window. Um, so
Yeah,
here,
we see your whole window, so we can
oh,
see.
perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, good, good, good. Okay, so here, this is what you would get, and then you could actually download this report and as a PDF and send it straight to your brand partner so that they have all of this data. Or another thing, maybe they just want all of your post data. So you can go in here and maybe they only want it from a certain date range. You can filter it by that date range. And this is just this brand's posts. And this is where this is so different than anything you've got on Instagram or Facebook or Meta, because you got to go in and separate all the different posts, right? Like you can't be like, oh, that's this guy and that's that guy. And they don't make it easy for you. So in here, you can actually just go in. This is this brand's post. You'll have a report for each of your brand partners. And then you can go in and you could download it or you could actually export it because sometimes they want you to send it to them, especially big brands might want you to send it to them as a spreadsheet. And so from right here, you can actually go in and just export all their data as a spreadsheet and hand it right over. And once you authenticate, the next thing we're adding to this report is actually going to be reach and impression. So she mentioned those two. We can't get that data without authentication. And so once we get people authenticating, we're going to add a couple pages to this report in the next couple weeks where it'll show your reach data and your impressions data. And that way you can see kind of everything that a brand wants to see, but then you can use it to send to them. So those are kind of the quick overview of how we're just trying to make it easier. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see people. Any questions?
Yeah, we did have two questions in the chat
Okay,
box.
perfect.
So Anthony asks, how can I change the account that's connected? His Instagram one is the wrong account. So that's probably something that he needs to just send you a message.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Fix.
yeah. Okay, Anthony, you know what? Your email looked funny and it didn't seem to match. So that might be I had the wrong email and the wrong thing. Let me check it. That might be why. Uh, Send me here. I'm going to put my contact information in here for all y'all. And then I'm not gonna lie, that's my cell. Text is best. I'm in Arizona or DM on Instagram. I'm big on DM. You can slide on into my DMs. And so yeah, we'll check that. Um, and then oh my God, someone's a project manager. Greg, we need to talk offline. Um,
And then, well, Greg also asked, can we add multiple profiles from the same platform? Because I have two YouTube channels.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Right now, it's by person. So it depends on what the categories are. So, for example, we have someone that has, and how distinct are those two YouTube personalities? So, like, we have someone who they actually do have a separate channel for their personal hobbies. So they are big into boating and then cars. So they have a separate kind of channel for boating. So we asked that, so what they did is they have their boating one. So when you log in, you can see your different creator profiles and you could have multiple. So we could probably look at a way to make it make sense for you. And, and maybe we do need to have it where one single kind of entity that would be all together would have multiple YouTubes and we can look at that. Um, Okay, so this is a good one from Justin. So with Team Nitto, so there's two things. So if you put in the caption either hashtag Team Nitto, and that's one of the things then we can search for, we don't actually look for the hashtag itself. We look for Team Nitto, all one word. So we're looking for keywords. And let's say Nitto's Instagram profile is at Nitto, right? If you had done at Nitto and one of the keywords we were searching was just Nitto, then we'd pull that back. Or maybe they were at Nitto tires, but you just put a Nitto, we'll find anything that has the word Nitto in it that you posted. If you do what I like to call secret tagging, okay, so secret tag, so we'll pull in every single post. If you connect, we're going to pull in every post you do. If you secret tag the brand, though, our system won't be able to see that when we pull it in because it's in the back end and that data doesn't get passed into this or passed necessarily to us. So it has to be in the captions. Um, Otherwise, you can just manually attach it, right? So you could just kind of like I show with those three dots, you could manually attach it. That being said, let's say it's a brand's campaign, right? And they create it. Let's say Nitto comes in and starts using Autofluencer. We do have an ambassador program, so if you can get them on the platform, you will get paid for that. So just saying, if you got Nitto. But let's say they connect, they can actually have a way where they can authenticate their social. So anybody secret tagging them or just mentioning them, like in the reel, when you get to the end and you can tag people, but you didn't put them in the captions, it'll alert them and it'll add it if they want. So I know that was a really long, it's basically keyword searching from your caption. Do you have a plan for an app? Um, uh, yes, we do. I'm not gonna, it does work kinda on the phone. Like, it's not awesome, but you can go, like, I have it saved on my phone. I just did the little, you can't see my phone, but I did that little thing where you can save a website as like an app kind of, and you can like log in. So it kind of works. It's kind of ghetto, but it like kind of works. Like there's certain things where you have to weirdly scroll over, but it does kind of work. So it's funny because every single creator, if they have an issue, I get screenshots. And so I know they're all doing it on their phone. So we do have a plan to eventually have it more app friendly and maybe even just wrap it as a light app. So yeah. So those are good questions, everybody.
Yeah. Well, hey, Erica,
Oh,
can you explain really quickly what you mean by a secret tag? Because
oh,
everyone
okay.
probably doesn't know what that is.
Okay, so I call it secret tagging, but essentially when you go into, and just know that any brand using our platform or that's new to platforms, this comes up a lot because they'll be like, yo, I know this person like totally mentioned us and I don't see them in your platform. And I'm like, well, what's the post you're referencing? And they'll be like, this post. I'm like, bro, you're not mentioned in here anywhere. Like it literally says, like, check out them rims, fire, 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 fire. Like that's the caption. And they're like, oh, well, they tagged us. I'm like, okay, they tagged you, but like, that's just so you could, they want you to just share it to your social, man. Like, and they're like, oh, so when you go to do a reel or a video, and at the end where you add your caption, but then below it's like invite collaborators and add tags. It's there, that add tags. You can technically see it if you are smart enough to know how to click on the little person icon on the picture and then it'll show all those tags, but nobody does that. No normal human is like looking at content and is like, oh shit, what's that little person icon right there? Let me click on that, right? No, they're scrolling through so quick. So they might, especially with like a decent amount of our brands for 2025, they're rethinking their requirements and they're putting in the first 6 words you have to mention our name on a reel. So, and that's a little bit to what Megan was saying is that's for their credit post. So it depends on what that partnership looks like. Look, if someone is giving you a discounted product and you're smaller and you're getting started, you still want to over deliver. But you're not going to break your back for a discounted product and tag them in every single post all year long, right? It's figuring out what that balance is and kind of looking to the letter of like, okay, here was their requirement. And a lot have now learned because last year, 2024, people that were on, all they said was tag us. So to the letter of the law, those people tagged them. They were tagged. They just never got actually mentioned in the captions. So the brand, to Megan's point, never got any exposure. And the problem is kind of like we said right when we started, it's a lot of them are very small, or they're trying to manage such big programs and they're using technology like ours that's just pulling stuff in. You may or may not be able to see what they're doing or pulling in, though I will say Instagram is cracking down on third-party data. So everybody got shut down this last week. So it'll be interesting what happens. That's why we're really pushing we were using a third-party data source. Now we're pushing because Instagram's cracking down on it. They kind of go up and down every year. They'll be like, crack down, nobody on it, scraping. But they, the brands, they're just trying to do their best too. And they don't really know what works and what doesn't. And so one of the things we do want to do for you all, and again, this probably won't be by March, but as we really get into season by mid next year, is to have benchmark reporting. And so what that would tell you is, okay, this brand said they wanted 5 posts from all the creators in their sponsor program, right? Or you put it in like, hey, they told me to do 5 posts. And so we're going to say, if you were in one of our brand partners, right, it'll actually tell you how you're performing compared to the other creators. So if you were in something with multiple creators, it'll tell you like, hey, they required 5 posts, but everybody else is doing 10. You're at 5. So just letting you know, like, kind of underperforming, even though technically that's what they said they wanted. Everybody else is going above and beyond. So we're giving you this shot to like go above and beyond if you want to. Because no brand, and Megan can speak to this, the bigger brands might be good about communication, but some just all of a sudden next year you don't get renewed. And they don't really tell you why. Because it's one person trying to manage a sponsorship of 42 people. And they got, like, we have one brand, they got 987 applicants to their partner program for next year. And so they, and they're not even paid, right? Like, so they're, and they don't have the time to communicate. They're just sending out a form email to everybody they didn't pick. And some of those are people that raced with them last year. So that's why it is like we're trying to do everything we can to make it easy for them, but to make it easy for you all, that if you do want to take it to the next level and you do want to take your sponsor, how can we make this easy for you? How can we make it so that you know where you stand? If you've got 2,000 followers and you're a sprint car racer or you're a kart racer, how does that compare to other kart racers that we have on the platform? Are you small? How's your engagement compared to them? That's the kind of data we want to eventually tell you guys so you know like how you're doing. So that's a little bit where we're going. And again, I put all my contact info. So, I want to hear from you. Let me know what works, what doesn't work. Um, Greg, I'm writing your name out. You're a project manager. We may need some project management help. So just saying. Also, Walter, I got to throw out to the Colts hat. I'm from Indianapolis, so I live in Arizona now. It's a bit warmer, but
Yeah, no, I wish I was in Arizona. But thank you so much, Erica. And guys, this is the future of brand deals and content, uh, tracking your stats and your analytics, especially in our industry. And so, like Erica said, I met her at PRI last year, and we talked about this idea, and I was like, this is something that I've always wanted to create it. And she was like 10 steps ahead of me. So, I 100% back her, and I encourage all of you guys to go take some time this week and check it out and see what brand deals are open on there right now before we go to PRI show next week.
Mhm.
So you can say, hey, I saw you have a brand deal on Autofluencer, and then you can make a good, first impression there in
Yeah.
person and kind of get your get in favor there. But guys, like I said, this is the future. So I used to spend hours, and I still do sometimes, is going through every single post that I've made and tracking all the analytics and spreadsheets. I have spreadsheets going back almost 10 years of every single post that I've made on multiple platforms and multiple team pages, multiple clients that I've done their social media for, and I will go in and track everything, and then I will make a report. So I'll go into Canva, I'll do a presentation, include screenshots of their post, I'll list what their engagement was and their impressions and reach and how many mentions they got. And I'll even like, and this might be something, an idea, Erica, I don't know if you have any like insights into the comments, but if I did
Yes.
like a specific like brand post, I would do screenshots of the comments where people were like, "Oh, I love using this product," or
Mhm.
something like that. So I would literally, guys, spend hours to where it consumed so much of my time. I had to hire a person on my team just to do this for me every single month for every single sponsor that we have. And each sponsor would get their own report because, we're making different content for each company.
Mhm.
And it literally does it all for you automatically. So
Yeah. I
if
mean,
that's
it does a
something you
lot.
haven't
It
done.
does a lot, not exactly how we all may always want it, but that's why too, like the comment thing, that's actually come up. And yes, we definitely want to do that. I mean, we can't do it all at once. If it was left to me, we'd do it all at once and engineers would work around the clock. But yeah, it'll get there and it'll just get better and better. And right now it's completely free for creators to use. And at some point we'll have some kind of concept of like a premium model where it's like, okay, this is what's free and then this is premium. It'll always be free though to have your profile on there to see all your brand data. And then it's just figuring out like what is is it the number of personal campaigns, kind of like how the brands pay per number of creators they work with. So we'll figure that out. But you guys being OGs, we'll get the chance to get in there, get everything built out, and kind of be at a lower rate than anybody else if you ever did want to upgrade to premium. So
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's why, if anybody was wondering why I asked for your social channels last week, that's that's what it was for. So you
yeah.
should have received an email from Autofluencer to set up your profile. So make sure you spend some time to do that. And like she was saying, with your creator biography and all your stats and vehicles and all that type of stuff, put that in there because like she said, that's all searchable. So if a brand is like, hey, we want to, maybe we have a new product coming out that's for a Nova, they'll do a search for creators that have Nova in their profile, and then they can reach out to you and ask you to be an ambassador for them. And so Autofluencer is supposed to be a all-in-one platform from signing a contract
Oh
to
yeah.
communication. Everything is in there. And that's like one thing, like with NGK, to be specific, they have said over and over again that because they are a very big company. They sponsored tons of racers in all different series. Uh, they have trouble managing their communication because sometimes people reach out to them on Facebook, sometimes it's email or multiple email addresses. And so we're putting it all in one place to make it easier for the brand, but also we want to make it as easy as possible for you guys
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah. And just real quick, someone brought this up, so thank you because I completely forgot. I am also speaking at PRI. I've got a panel on Thursday, content creators and the future of social media. We've got a great panel. It's got Matt Field, who's a pro Formula Drift racer, CJ Casale, who's an up and coming. She's in the BMW driver development program, and she's kind of and she's an Army veteran. And then we've got Krista Baldwin she's the marketing director at Wharton Automotive, which is McLeod Racing, FTI, Powertrain, Silver Sport. And then she's also owner of her own Top Fuel team and driver herself. And then Brian Sexton of Sexton Co. Agency, and they work with a lot of performance brands that do a lot of sponsorships. So that should be good. It might say it's sold out. It's not sold out. It was actually a funny thing. The president of PRI had this vision for this panel, and then he got busy because he's running PRI. And he never pulled it together. And so then I saw this like sold out panel on content creators, and I was like, who's speaking in this? Because I feel like I should be involved, or like if it's sold out, I should at least come. And they're like, oh shoot, it's showing, it's canceled. We don't have anybody. We couldn't pull it together. And I was like, I got you. And that was like 6 days ago. And so then in 6 days, we pulled together a panel. We had our call today. So just show up. And we want to see you there. We want to be standing room only.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not technically sold out, guys, because it's not something that you pay extra for.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but make sure, like, get there 15 minutes early because it will
yeah,
fill up fast. Like, all the education classes at
yeah.
Fry fill up so fast.
So fast.
So get there at least 15 minutes early so you could,
Yeah,
get a good spot sitting down because you don't want to be standing in the back of the room.
yeah.
I've done that. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah. So this anybody where it's like um anything about social media, anything about sponsorships, man, those are like standing room, you know. So yeah, but it should be good. And I'm pumped to see all of you that are going to be there. And we don't have a booth. Again, we're small, and so standing at a booth feels like the worst thing to do. But I'll be walking around. You'll see me on my Autofluencer Supercharged Partnership shirt on, and you've got my cell, so text me. So yeah, we'll meet up.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks, Erica. Thanks, everybody, coming on tonight.
Thank you.
And we'll see most of you guys next week. Also, check out the Facebook group for update for our next coaching call. All right.
Yay, bye.
I guess. Oh, homework. Justin,
Or
thanks for the reminder. There is a homework assignment. It's only 3 pages, super, super simple. Just you do have to do the content categories, a case study, and then multiple choice questions. So super easy. That's all in your members area there. And yeah, Justin, Greg says Justin's got to be that guy to remind the teacher about homework. Yeah, it's your assignment's already uploaded, so you gotta do it. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good night, and I'll see you all soon.
bye.
Bye.